Stephon Diggs gets traded from the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans ended up trading a second-round pick, and in return, they got Stephon Diggs, a fifth-round and a sixth-round pick. So immediately, right off the bat, what are your thoughts of this trade? Who comes out the winner of this trade?
Well, I think the team that always comes out the winner in a trade very plainly is the team that gets the better player. Like, we don't know what a 2025 second round pick can be. We say this every year. The draft is a crapshoot. But in the same breath, I'm going to say this. Like, the Texans came out clear winners. They get Stephon Diggs. They get to load up that offense. But also, I know they attached a couple of late round picks to Stephon Diggs. I'm really surprised they got a second round pick back for Stephon Diggs, a guy that's on the wrong side of 30. He's not owed as much money as the Bills have already paid him. They paid a ton of the money left on that deal and then basically just gave the Texans to him for free, which was very interesting. But a guy who was kind of a locker room cancer at times, caused a lot of issues there. Josh Allen and him sometimes didn't get along. I am surprised that they were able to leverage him for a second round pick. But in the same breath, I'm going to say, I mean, the team that got the better player won. And I still think Stephon Diggs is a top 15 receiver in the NFL. I'd probably lean he's closer to 15 than 10, but he's still a wide receiver one in this league, a low-end wide receiver one, but a wide receiver one nonetheless. So Texans came out on top, but I'm surprised that the Bills got as much as they did for Stephon Diggs. Am I wrong there?
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. You know, look, here's the thing. Stephon Diggs is still a really good receiver. I just have questions as to why the Buffalo Bills traded him. And I don't think that they really got much in return for his services, in my personal opinion.
Wow.
And I just have questions. I'm not ready to jump on the Texans bandwagon here. I do think that there's locker room concerns with Stephon Diggs. I don't think that this is just a guy that's going to come in right away and automatically change the culture in Houston. I have some questions there. I have some questions on how he's going to be used in Houston. I'm not as big of a fan of Bobby Slowick as a lot of other people are. I think that CJ Stroud did a lot for that offense that really helped out Bobby Slowick. Obviously, a quarterback's going to help out an offense, but you know, CJ Stroud won a lot of times because he was making plays when the play broke down. I don't think they run enough West Coast concepts where you're getting the ball out of your hands and getting the quarterback in a rhythm, which is why Stroud's completion percentage was below 65%. So I want to see how he's deployed in this offense. And look, you're adding big personalities to what was a young team last year. And you know, this is where they're going to start building their culture. They're building their culture around guys like Will Anderson and CJ Stroud. I just worry that you add a guy like Stephon Diggs, who did what he did in Buffalo, who visibly showed that he was upset multiple times throughout his time in Buffalo. And you have a guy like Joe Mixon in there as well, even though I know Joe Mixon was great in Cincinnati. I just have some questions on whether or not this is the move that people think it's going to be for this team. Because if it is that type of move and Stephon Diggs is that type of receiver for them, I think he would have gone for more than what he went for.
Wow. Here's why I love the move for the Houston Texans. You have a quarterback on a rookie deal, and what we just see with Brock Purdy, and I think CJ Stroud is miles the quarterback that Brock Purdy is. Load up that offense for 5 years. And now you have an offense with a very capable tight end in Dalton Schultz. You have a running back who is a not over the hill, but maybe his best days are behind him, but still a very productive running back in Joe Mixon, a wide receiver one in Stephon Diggs, a 6-foot guy who can still be vertical at times, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins, who was arguably the most underrated wide receiver this year. Laramie Tunsil's on the offensive line. I don't think Bobby Slowick is an offensive mastermind like Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan, but I think he's a pretty good offensive coordinator, and I really love the culture of the Houston Texans. Everything the Texans are doing this offseason is perfect. They took a huge step forward last year with the team going to the playoffs. They were better than they thought, and they went and spent loads and bags of money on fixing this team, even on guys that who knows if they're going to work out, but it doesn't matter because you're not paying the quarterback anything. Teams that are going to win Super Bowls and your name is not Patrick Mahomes, this is the way it's done. Patrick Mahomes won 2 Super Bowls on his quote-unquote rookie deal. CJ Stroud could win a Super Bowl on his rookie deal when it is completely loaded for him. So I love the deal. I love what they did in getting Stephon Diggs. And ultimately, I just think loading up the offense is what's going to make the Texans one of the best teams in the AFC next year. I'm kind of surprised you're not on that bandwagon too.
So here's the thing, right? Obviously, they got better with this trade. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying that I have questions as to why Buffalo got rid of Stephon Diggs and didn't get more, or the fact that they even traded a 5th and a 6th round pick to me is a little bit of a question mark, to where it's just like, all right, Stephon Diggs for a 2nd round pick. All right, that's fine compensation. We'll just go our separate ways. But now the Bills don't have anybody for Josh Allen to throw the football to. And it just really raises questions for me, is what I'm trying to say. The Texans definitely got better, no doubt about it. I like some of the other moves that they made as well. I like them going and getting Danielle Hunter and Joe Mixon and Azeez Al-Shaair. I like these moves, but at the same time, I'm not ready to say that they're even a top 3 team in the AFC right now. I don't think they're not better than Kansas City. I don't think they're better than Baltimore. And I don't think, hear me out, I don't think they're better than the New York Jets. So to me, like, they were the 4th seed last year. Do I see them being higher than the 4th seed? I don't know. I just don't know. So is it a good move by the Houston Texans to add Stephon Diggs? Yes. Does it tip the scales for me to where I say, all right, they can really compete with the Kansas City Chiefs? Not this year. And that's fine, right? CJ Stroud is still a young quarterback. They still have a few more years to where they can get it done under his rookie contract. I just don't think it's this upcoming year, is kind of what I'm trying to get at here.
And here's what I'll say about the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills getting rid of Stephon Diggs, and they got rid of Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde and numerous Tre'Davious White. Isn't there just numerous amounts of players that were on that team? And people are looking at this like, why getting rid of Stephon Diggs? Why getting rid of Tre'Davious White? Well, Tre'Davious White tore his Achilles. He's on the wrong side of 30. Jordan Poyer's on the wrong side of 30. Stephon Diggs was a headache, and it was owed a lot of money, and a guy that for 13, 12 weeks was kind of marginal. And also, this Buffalo Bills team kind of peaked. They kind of peaked. And their biggest moment was losing the AFC Championship game to the Kansas City Chiefs. At some point, you just have to move on. And what they're going to do is they're going to take their licks for a year. They're going to reset their salary cap. They're going to have to fix weapons around Josh Allen. And they're just going to have to try to swing for the fences this year. And likely this will be Sean McDermott's last year. Get a new head coach and completely reset this team. Josh Allen is still young. He'll have more than just next year to compete. And sometimes teams have to take a transition year. And that's what I think it's going to be for the Buffalo Bills this year.
Yeah, just one last thing when it comes to that. Like, when it comes to the Bills and the AFC East, to me, I talked about it. I think, and we're going to talk about this team later on. I think that the Jets are the best team in that division. I think that the Bills are going to make the playoffs, though, because I believe in Josh Allen and his talents, and I do believe in the talent that they have on this roster. So I think they'll be good enough to make the playoffs. But, it does look like, you're right, it's going to be a transition year for the Buffalo Bills, and that's fine. Josh Allen's still young. You still have plenty of years ahead of him. And, look, at the end of the day, I'm not expecting too much from the Bills next season. And, them trading Stephon Diggs, to me, pretty much puts a bow on my opinion that this isn't really a year that Buffalo is looking to make a bunch of moves and go win a Super Bowl. I think that they do look at this as a transition year. You're absolutely right when you say that. So that's where we'll leave off with that.